They ignored the warning. 6 hours later, the greatest military empire in galactic history ceased to exist. This is the story of how that happened, and more importantly, why. But to understand the end, we must first understand the beginning. 2 months before the fall, when Admiral Kira Vess stood in a war room on Krexel Prime and made the decision that would change everything. The war room was built to intimidate. Ceilings stretched into darkness above. Sharp metal walls reflected cold blue light from floating tactical screens. Around the massive obsidian table sat the leaders of the hegemony empire. 47 star systems had fallen to them. Today, they would choose number 48. Admiral Kira Vess stood at the head of that table, 52 years old, grey skin marked with battle scars that told stories she never spoke about. Her eyes were cold, the kind of cold that came from seeing too much death, from causing too much of it. She had never lost a battle. She had never shown mercy. These were not points of pride, just facts, like gravity, like vacuum, like the certainty that the strong survived and the weak did not. The next target is simple, Kira said. Her voice cut through the room like ice breaking. A small planet called Earth, third world from a yellow star. The species calls itself human. She touched a control on the table. A hologram shimmered to life above them. Blue and green, clouds swirling in peaceful patterns. Oceans catching light from a warm sun. The planet looked beautiful. It looked harmless. It looked weak. Commander Tarek Zain leaned forward. 45 years old. The intelligence officer. His job was to study enemies before they became corpses. What do we know about these humans? He asked. Kira's smile was not kind. They are primitive. Some space stations. A few small ships. No unified military. No real weapons. They fight each other more than they work together. The other commanders nodded. Murmurs of approval circled the table. This sounded easy. The hegemony had learned long ago that most species collapsed when faced with real power. Their technology is basic, Kira continued. Her fingers moved through the hologram, pulling up data streams. Chemical rockets, simple energy weapons. They barely left their home planet 70 years ago. 300 years of relative peace in this sector. They should surrender the moment they see our fleet. General Dax Crow banged his fist on the table. 62 years old. A veteran of more campaigns than anyone cared to count. How many ships should we send? 100, 200. 50 should be enough, Kira said. She zoomed the display to show Earth's orbital infrastructure. A handful of stations, some satellites. Nothing that could withstand a serious assault. This will be over in one day. The room filled with agreement. Some commanders laughed. Some were already planning what they would take from Earth. The hegemony always took everything. Resources, technology, people to work as slaves. Planets became empty shells when they were done. Commander Tarek looked worried. He always looked worried. That was why he was still alive after 2 decades of service. Admiral, I have studied their broadcasts. These humans are strange. They tell stories about war constantly. They make entertainment about fighting. They seem to enjoy conflict. All primitive species fight, Kira replied. She dismissed the concern with a wave. It does not matter. They fight with sticks and stones. We fight with plasma cannons and reality bombs. She marked Earth with a red symbol, the harvest mark. Every species in the galaxy knew what it meant. Total defeat, complete control, the end of freedom. We attack in 3 days, Kira announced. Standard procedure, jump in fast, destroy their space stations, demand surrender, take everything. The meeting ended. Commanders left to prepare their ships. Soon, 50 hegemony warships would jump to Earth. The humans would never know what hit them. Kira remained in the war room after the others left. She stood looking at the hologram of Earth, spinning peacefully, unaware of what was coming. She thought about her daughter, Sarah, dead 25 years now. A colony disaster, structural failure in a habitat dome. 40 people died, including a bright-eyed girl of 20 who had wanted to be an artist. Sarah had believed in peace, in cooperation, in the idea that different species could work together instead of crushing each other. Kira had thought her daughter naive, foolish, dangerously idealistic in a universe that rewarded only strength. Then Sarah died, and Kira learned that the universe did not care about belief. It cared about power. She had spent the decades since proving that lesson correct. 47 systems had learned it. Now Earth would be 48. Kira touched the hologram. Her finger passed through the blue planet. "Forgive me, Sarah," she whispered to the empty room. "But the strong survive. That is the only truth that matters." She did not know then how wrong she was, how terribly, completely wrong. 2 days passed. The fleet assembled in the staging area beyond Krexel Prime. 50 warships, each one capable of cracking a planet's crust. Together, they were unstoppable. Kira stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Relentless. Through the forward viewport, she could see the other ships hanging in space like predators, waiting, ready. "Admiral," the navigation officer called. "All ships report ready for jump. Weapons charged, drives at full power." "Begin final checks," Kira ordered. She settled into her command chair. This was always her favorite moment. The calm before the storm. The last instant of peace before violence began. Commander Tarek stood at his station nearby. His fingers moved across holographic display, reviewing intelligence one final time. Always thorough, always careful. "Something bothers you," Kira said. It was not a question. Tarek hesitated, then nodded. "The humans have been too quiet, Admiral. Most species try to make contact before we attack, to buy time, to plead." "They do not know we are coming," Kira replied. "The element of surprise is ours." General Crow laughed from his position at the tactical station. "You worry too much, Commander. These are primitives. They probably do not even have working sensors capable of detecting our approach." Kira allowed herself a small smile. Crow was right. They had done this 47 times before. The pattern was always the same. Overwhelming force, swift victory, total control. "Admiral," the communications officer said. Her voice was steady, professional. "We are ready to jump on your command." Kira straightened in her chair. This was it, the moment of decision. The moment when peace ended and war began. She had given this order 47 times. Each time it became a little easier. "Begin the attack," she commanded. "All ships, jump to Earth, standard assault formation." The ships started to charge their jump drives. Energy built up around each vessel. Space began to bend and twist. Reality prepared to fold. In 30 seconds, they would appear at Earth. The humans would have no warning, no time to prepare, no chance to defend themselves. 29 seconds, 28, 27. Then something happened that had never happened before in the entire history of the hegemony empire. "Admiral," the communications officer shouted. Her professional composure shattered. "We are receiving a transmission." "From where?" Kira demanded. "From Earth." The bridge went silent. Every officer froze. This was impossible. Earth should not know they were coming. The hegemony used specialized stealth technology. No primitive species had ever detected them before a surprise attack. "What does the message say?" Kira's voice was ice. The communications officer stared at her screen. Her face had gone pale. When she spoke, her voice shook. "It is just coordinates, Admiral, and 4 words." "What words?" The officer read them slowly, as if she could not quite believe what she was seeing. "Remember what we did?" The bridge became a tomb. Every eye turned to the main display. The coordinates appeared. A string of numbers that pointed to a specific location in space. A place that should have been forgotten. A place no one wanted to remember. "Admiral," Tarek said quietly. Too quietly. "Those coordinates." Kira felt ice form in her blood. She knew those coordinates. Every military officer in the galaxy knew them, whether they admitted it or not. Zerion Prime. The name alone was enough to stop hearts, to make brave soldiers remember childhood fears, to remind the powerful that there were things in this universe that could not be conquered. Zerion Prime had been a beautiful system once. 7 planets, billions of living beings, trade routes, cultural centers, a jewel of civilization. Now it was nothing. Floating rocks, radiation, the corpse of what had been. The Devourers had done that. The Devourers had been unstoppable. A swarm of conquest that had taken half the galaxy before they reached Zerion Prime. 10,000 ships, technology that bent the laws of physics. An empire that made the hegemony look like children playing with toys. Then something happened at Zerion Prime. Something impossible. The entire Devourer fleet vanished. Every ship, every soldier, gone in 8 hours. No wreckage, no survivors, no explanation. 7 planets were turned to dust. The star itself flickered and nearly died. Space in that region still carried scars. Reality itself had been wounded there. That was 200 years ago. No one knew what happened. No one wanted to know. The galaxy had quietly agreed to forget Zerion Prime existed. And now these humans, these primitive humans who should be cowering in fear, they sent coordinates to Zerion Prime and 4 words that changed everything. Remember what we did. Cancel the jump, Kira ordered. Her voice was steady, but inside she felt something she had not felt in decades. Fear, real fear. Admiral, the navigation officer asked, "We are ready to attack. Drives are charged." "I said cancel it," Kira shouted. She never shouted, but control required understanding. And she understood nothing about this message. The ships powered down their jump drives. The attack on Earth stopped before it began. 50 warships hung in space. Predators suddenly uncertain of their prey. Kira stared at the message on the main display. 4 simple words that changed everything. Remember what we did. As if the humans knew something. As if they had been there. At Zerion Prime. 200 years ago. But that was impossible. Humans barely had space travel 200 years ago. They could not have been involved in whatever happened at Zerion Prime. Could they, Commander Zain? Kira said. Her voice was cold again, controlled again. But the fear remained, buried deep. "I want a full investigation. Find out everything about these humans. Find out what happened at Zerion Prime. Find out why they sent this message." "Yes, Admiral," Tariq said. "How long do I have?" Kira looked at Earth on her screen, spinning peacefully. Blue and green and beautiful. So why was her instinct screaming at her to run? "Take as long as you need," she said. "We do not attack until we understand what we are facing." The great hegemony fleet stayed where it was. For the first time in their history, they hesitated. For the first time, they were not certain they would win. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Earth waited, patient, silent, ready. Commander Tariq Zain had not slept in 48 hours. His office was buried in the intelligence section of Grexel Prime's central fortress. No windows, no natural light, just screens, dozens of them, all showing human data, pictures of their cities, records of their history, videos of their wars. The more he learned, the more his unease grew into something darker, something closer to dread. Admiral Kira Vess entered without knocking. She never knocked. "What have you found?" she demanded. Tariq pointed to a screen showing Earth. The planet rotated slowly, peaceful, deceptive. "The humans are not what they seem, Admiral. Nothing about them makes sense." "Explain." Tariq pulled up a map of human space. Red dots marked their colonies and stations. They have exactly 47 space stations. No more, no less. Kira frowned. "Coincidence?" "We have conquered exactly 47 star systems," Tariq said. "One station for each system we took." The room went quiet. That was not coincidence. That was a message. "Show me more," Kira ordered. Tariq touched another control. The screen changed to show detailed scans of human technology. Ships that looked simple on the outside. Stations that appeared basic and weak. But the numbers told a different story. Their reactors are too powerful, Tarek said. A simple research station does not need that much energy. A basic mining ship does not need shields that strong. The energy signatures are all wrong. Wrong how? They match advanced civilizations, Tarek said carefully. Maybe more advanced than us. This was not possible. The hegemony had the best technology in the galaxy. They had stolen it from dozens of conquered species. Nothing could be more advanced. Show me their military records, she said. Tarek brought up files on human conflicts. They fought each other often, but the way they fought was strange. Perfect tactics, no wasted moves. Every battle ends quickly and cleanly. Look at the casualty rates. Numbers scrolled across the screen. Battle after battle. The casualties were impossibly low. They won battles they should have lost. They saved civilians they should have abandoned. They showed mercy to enemies who would have killed them. This behavior does not make sense for a warrior species, Kira said. Unless they are not worried about losing, Tarek replied. Unless they know they can always win if they need to. Unless they are holding back. Opened another file. This one made the temperature in the room drop 10 degrees. I traced the message they sent us. It came from a human station called Sanctuary 7. What is special about this station? Tarek's hands shook as he answered. Sanctuary 7 has been in operation for exactly 200 years, Admiral. Since right after the Zerion event. The words hung in the air like poison. 200 years was exactly when the Devourers disappeared. When an entire star system had been turned to dust. That proves nothing, Kira said, but her voice lacked conviction. There is more. Tarek opened a final file. I found archived footage from the Zerion battle. Very old, very hidden. Hegemony intelligence saved it but marked it classified at the highest level. I used your command codes. Show me, Kira ordered. The screen flickered, then it showed something that should have been impossible. Ships. Thousands of them. Dark shapes moving through space like death itself. These were the Devourers, the species that had conquered half the galaxy, the monsters that ate entire worlds. But in the footage, they were running. The great Devourer fleet was in full retreat, ships scattered in every direction. Some were already damaged, others were exploding as they tried to escape. No formation, no order. Just panic. What are they running from? Kira asked. Watch, Tarek said. The camera view turned. In the distance near Zerion Prime were other ships, smaller ships. Ships that looked almost primitive compared to the massive alien warships. Ships that looked familiar. No, Kira whispered. But the evidence was right there. Human vessels, moving in perfect formation. No panic, no fear, just cold, deadly precision as they hunted the fleeing Devourers. The recording continued. More human ships appeared. Hundreds of them, thousands, all moving with impossible coordination. As if they shared one mind, one purpose. The Devourers tried to fight back. Their weapons were legendary. Reality-bending technology. Planet killers. Weapons that had shattered civilizations. None of it mattered. The human ships moved through the attacks like they were not even there. Shields that did not block but seemed to erase incoming fire. Weapons that struck with impossible accuracy. Every shot a kill. Every maneuver perfect. How? Kira breathed. How are they so good? Keep watching, Tarek said. The battle was nearly over. Most of the Devourer fleet was destroyed. The survivors were fleeing toward the edge of the system, trying to jump away, trying to escape. Then the humans did something unexpected. They stopped fighting. The human ships formed a line between the fleeing Devourers and the system's edge. But they did not fire. They just waited, patient, calm. A single message went out on all frequencies. The audio quality was poor. 200 years of data degradation. But the words were clear. A human voice speaking in the Devourer language. You came to destroy. You came to conquer. You came to take what was not yours. We could kill you all, but we will not. Leave this galaxy. Never return. If you do, we will not show mercy again. Most of the Devourers took the offer. Their ships jumped away, fled into the black, never came back. But some did not listen. Some turned to attack the humans one last time. Perhaps pride, perhaps hate, perhaps just refusal to accept defeat. That was when Zerion Prime showed its true nature. The planet itself moved, not orbital mechanics, not natural motion. The entire world shifted position. Space began to bend around it. Reality started to crack like glass under pressure. "What is that?" Kira asked. "I do not know," Tarek admitted. "But watch what happens next." The remaining Devourer ships tried to run. Their jump drives charged. They attempted to fold space and escape. They could not. Space itself was being rewritten. The laws of physics were changing. Gravity inverted. Time stuttered. Matter flickered between states. In seconds, it was over. Every Devourer ship that had refused mercy was gone. Not destroyed, not vaporized, erased. Oh, as if they had never existed at all. Then Zerion Prime destroyed itself. The planet collapsed into nothing. Not a black hole, not an explosion. It just ceased to be, taking its weapons with it, taking its secrets with it, leaving only empty space, and a warning to the galaxy. "Do not threaten humanity." The recording ended. The screen went dark. Tarek and Kira stood in silence. The only sound was their breathing and the quiet hum of computers. "They have been pretending to be peaceful," Tarek said, "for 200 years, while sitting on weapons that could end civilizations, and we were about to attack them." Kira turned away from the screen. She walked to the window. Outside, Krexel Prime stretched to the horizon. City lights, industrial complexes, military installations. The heart of the hegemony empire, built on the corpses of 47 conquered worlds. And somewhere out there, watching, were the humans, who had destroyed the Devourers, who had built a planet into a weapon, who had shown mercy to an enemy that deserved none. "Admiral," Tarek said carefully, "what are your orders?" Kira stood at the window for a long time. Memories of Serra, of building an empire on fear, of becoming the thing she claimed to fight against. About 4 words that had stopped an invasion before it began. "Remember what we did. Continue the investigation," she said. "I want to know everything, their history, their capabilities, their intentions. And the fleet. Maintain defensive positions. No one approaches Earth without my direct authorization." Tarek turned to leave, but Kira stopped him with a question. "Commander, if you were in command, if this decision was yours, what would you do?" Tarek considered. He was an intelligence officer. His job was analysis, assessment, finding truth in data, and the data pointed to one inescapable conclusion. "I would surrender," he said quietly, "before they make us." Kira nodded slowly. She did not disagree. That was the most frightening thing of all. After Tarek left, Kira remained at the window, looking out at the empire she had helped build, wondering how much longer it would stand, wondering if she had just seen a glimpse of its end. On Earth, 300 million miles away, humanity waited. They had sent their message. They had shown their hand. Now they would see if the hegemony was smart enough to understand. The countdown had not started yet, but everyone could feel it coming. Time was running out. 1 week passed. 7 days of investigation. 7 days of Kira Vess staring at screens filled with data that made less sense the more she learned. 7 days of watching her certainty crumble. The hegemony fleet remained at their staging position. 50 warships holding formation, waiting. The soldiers aboard were restless. They had been promised a quick victory. Instead, they sat in space while their admiral questioned everything. Commander Tarek had not stopped working. His team of intelligence analysts worked in shifts around the clock. They compiled reports, cross-referenced the data, built profiles of human civilization going back centuries. Every report made the situation worse. "They have been preparing for this," Tarek told Kira during one of their daily briefings. "Not just for war, for us specifically." He showed her pattern analysis. Human station placements matched hegemony expansion routes almost perfectly. Trade routes that seemed random were actually optimized for rapid military deployment. Civilian infrastructure that could convert to military use in hours. It is as if they have been watching us for decades, Tarek said, learning our tactics, studying our patterns, waiting for the moment we would cross a line they could not ignore. Kira studied the data in silence. The humans had no breaking point she could see, only a threshold, and she had been about to cross it. There is something else, Tarek said. He pulled up a new file. A week ago, there was an incident. A hegemony probe entered a system on the border of human space. Unauthorized, just reconnaissance. The probe was destroyed, but not before it transmitted data. With what data? Targeting information on a civilian station. New harvest station. Population 40,000. Mostly agricultural workers, families. Kira felt cold spread through her chest. We attacked a civilian target, not we, Tarek said carefully. General Crow, he authorized the strike without your approval, said it was a test to see how humans would respond. The screen changed, showed new harvest station, before and after. Before a small facility orbiting a green world. Lights, life, peace, after debris, bodies, silence, 40,000 dead to test a hypothesis. When did this happen? Kira asked. Her voice was high. 6 days ago, the day before the humans sent their message. Kira understood then. The humans had not randomly chosen to warn the hegemony. They had been pushed. 40,000 of their people murdered. And their response was not immediate retaliation, not rage, not vengeance, just 4 words and coordinates. Remember what we did. A warning, not a threat, a reminder. As if to say, we could destroy you for this, but we are giving you one chance to stop. Find out who died on that station, Kira ordered. I want names. Admiral, there were 40,000 casualties. That will take time. Do it anyway. Tarek nodded and left. Kira remained in her office, staring at the images of New Harvest Station, before and after, life and death, separated by one man's arrogance. Memories of Sarah flooded back, her daughter who died in a colony accident, how Kira had raged at the universe for taking her child, how she had spent 25 years trying to make the universe pay for that loss. Somewhere on Earth, 40,000 families were feeling what she had felt, multiplied, concentrated, fresh, and still the humans showed restraint. That terrified her more than any weapon could. The second message arrived on the 8th day. Kira was reviewing tactical reports when every screen in her office suddenly changed. Not hacked, not forced. They just changed, as if the humans had politely asked permission and her systems had said yes. A face appeared. Female, late 50s, auburn hair touched with grey, eyes that had seen too much grief but still held strength. She wore a simple uniform. No decorations, no rank insignia, just a small patch on her shoulder showing Earth. Admiral Vess, the woman said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. My name is Ambassador Thorne Blackwell. I represent the Earth Defense Council. We need to talk. Kira sat perfectly still. This was a direct communication, real time, crossing 300 million miles of space as if distance meant nothing. You are jamming my systems, Kira said. No, Blackwell replied. We are asking your systems nicely. There is a difference. We could jam them. We choose not to. That distinction matters, Admiral. I hope you understand that. Kira understood. It was another message, another demonstration. We could hurt you, but we will not. Yet, what do you want? Kira asked. Blackwell's expression softened slightly. I want to help you understand what is happening, because I do not think you fully grasp the situation you are in. We are the hegemony empire. We have conquered 47 star systems. Do you? Blackwell leaned forward. Admiral, let me tell you what I know about you. Kira Vess, 52 years old, rose through ranks by being smarter and more ruthless than your competition. Lost your daughter Sarah 25 years ago in a colony disaster. Spent the decades since trying to make the universe pay for that loss. Am I close? Kira's blood went cold. This information should not exist. Sarah's death was in classified records, personal files. How did the humans know we have been watching you? Blackwell said. Not just your fleet, not just your military. You, personally, for years. We know about every campaign, every conquest, every world you have taken. If you knew, Kira said slowly, why did you not stop us sooner? Because we hoped you would stop yourselves, Blackwell replied. We hoped that eventually the hegemony would realize that conquest is not strength, that taking from others does not make you powerful. It just makes you thieves with guns. She paused. Let the words sink in. But you did not stop. You kept taking, kept destroying. Until last week when General Crow decided to test us, when he murdered 40,000 of my people to see what we would do. Kira heard something in Blackwell's voice then. Underneath the calm, underneath the control, grief, fresh and raw and barely contained. Among the dead at New Harvest Station, Blackwell continued, was my daughter, Commander Reese Blackwell. She was 31 years old. She loved astronomy. She played violin. She wanted to open a school on the station to teach children about the stars. The ambassador stopped, took a breath. When she spoke again, her voice was steady, but Kira could hear the effort it took. She died instantly when your missiles hit the command center. If that matters to you, she did not suffer. 31 years old, and she just stopped existing because a general wanted to run an experiment. Kira felt something she had not felt in years. Shame, real burning shame. Because she understood this woman's pain, she had lived it herself, and now she represented the people who had caused it. I am sorry, Kira said, and meant it. Blackwell nodded slowly. I believe you are. That is why I am talking to you instead of Admiral Wolf. He wanted to just destroy your fleet and be done with it. I convinced him to try this first, to give you a chance. A chance to do what? To make a choice, Blackwell said. We know you are planning to attack us eventually. Your fleet is positioned. Your commanders are eager. So we are simplifying things. We are giving you two options. She held up one finger. Option 1. Attack us now. Come to Earth with your 50 ships, your plasma cannons, your reality bombs. Find out what happens when you cross the line we drew 200 years ago at Zerion Prime. She held up a second finger. Option 2. Leave us alone. Forever. Turn your fleet around. Go back to Krexel Prime. Never threaten Earth or any human settlement again. We will do the same for you. Those are not negotiations, Kira said. Those are ultimatums. Yes, Blackwell agreed. Because we are done negotiating, Admiral. We tried peace for 300 years. We pretended to be harmless. We hoped the galaxy would learn that cooperation is better than conquest. Instead, species like yours learned that kindness is weakness, that mercy is an invitation to attack. She leaned back in her chair. So now we are being clear. We are giving you a choice. Make it wisely. You have 24 hours. The transmission ended. Screens returned to normal. But the message remained. 24 hours to decide the fate of the hegemony empire. Kira sat in silence for a long time. Then she called an emergency council meeting. The war room filled quickly. Commanders arriving from their ships via shuttle. General Crow stomping in with his usual aggressive confidence. Tarek slipping in quietly with a datapad full of new intelligence. We received an ultimatum from the humans, Kira announced without preamble. They demand we attack them now or leave them alone forever. We have 24 hours to decide. That is outrageous, Crow shouted. We do not take orders from primitives. They destroyed the devourers, Tarek said quietly. That makes them the opposite of primitive. A fluke, Crow insisted. Ancient history. For all we know, that footage is propaganda. Then you volunteer to lead the attack, Kira asked. Her voice was cold. You want to test if it is fake? You can go first. Crow's bluster faded slightly. I am saying we should not be intimidated by threats. Pride is not strategy, Tarek interjected. He activated his datapad. Holographic displays filled the center of the table. I have been analyzing human capabilities for 8 days. The numbers do not favor us. He pulled up energy readings from human space. Every one of their civilian ships has reactor output that matches our warships. Their stations have shield generators beyond anything we have. They are not hiding military technology behind civilian society. They are military pretending to be civilian. How long have they been pretending? One of the commanders asked. 300 years, Tarek said. Maybe longer. The room went quiet. 300 years of deception, of playing weak while building strength, of watching, waiting, preparing. There is more, Tarek continued. He showed the analysis of the 47 human stations, one station for each system we conquered. They have been tracking our expansion. These are not research stations, they are watchtowers, each one positioned to monitor a specific hegemony territory. He zoomed in on one station, Sanctuary 7, where the message came from. It orbits a position with direct sensor view of Krexel Prime. They have been watching our home world for 200 years. Then we destroy them, Crow declared. With what? Tarek asked. Admiral, if we attack Earth, the humans will respond. Based on the Zerian footage, they have technology 2 centuries more advanced than ours. The battle will be short, and we will lose. You cannot know that, Crow argued. I can make educated estimates, Tarek replied. The Devourers had 10,000 ships. They lost. We have 50 ships. We would not even surprise them. Kira listened to the argument, watched her commanders divide into factions. Some agreed with Crow, pride and aggression. Others sided with Tarek, caution and analysis. She thought about Blackwell, a woman who had just lost her daughter, who had every reason to want vengeance, who instead offered a choice. That was not weakness, that was strength under control, the most dangerous kind. I want options, Kira said. Real options, not bravado. What can we actually do? A tactical officer stood. We could request reinforcements, bring the full might of the hegemony fleet, 10,000 ships. 10,000 ships take weeks to assemble, Tarek countered, and the humans gave us 24 hours. We could try diplomacy, another officer suggested. Open real negotiations. After murdering 40,000 civilians, Tarek shook his head. I do not think they are interested in common ground right now. The debate continued, arguments cycling through the same points. Attack, retreat, negotiate, delay. Every option had flaws. Every choice had consequences. Finally, Kira stood. The room went silent. I am going to tell you something that is not in any official report, she said. Something I learned from Ambassador Blackwell's transmission. She looked around the table, met every eye. At New Harvest Station, among the 40,000 we killed was Blackwell's daughter. Reese, 31 years old, died instantly in the attack General Crow ordered without authorization. Crow's face went pale. I did not know. It was just a test. You murdered 40,000 people, including a diplomat's child, to run an experiment, Kira said. Each word was ice, and their response was not revenge, not immediate retaliation. They sent a warning, gave us a choice. That woman just lost her daughter, and she is still showing us mercy. She let that sink in. That terrifies me more than any weapon, because it means they have discipline we cannot match. Restraint we do not possess. They are not reacting, they are choosing. Every action is calculated, which means they have thought this through. They have planned for this moment. What are you saying? One commander asked. I am saying they are not bluffing, Kira replied. They gave us 24 hours because they have already run every simulation, already calculated every outcome. They know exactly what will happen if we attack, and they are confident enough to give us a choice because they know we will make the right one or die making the wrong one. She dismissed the council. They left in groups, arguing, debating, afraid. Only Tarek remained. What will you do? He asked. Kira looked at the hologram of Earth in the center of the table, blue and green and deceptively peaceful. I am going to make sure we understand what we are facing, she said, before the 24 hours are up. Pride warred with survival. Duty fought with common sense. Everything she had built, everything she believed, it all hung in the balance. 24 hours to choose, war or wisdom. The clock was running. 18 hours remained when Tarek brought Kira the breakthrough. I found something, he said. Exhaustion lined his face, but excitement cut through it. Deep in human historical records, not hidden, just old. Hita showed her a timeline, human history, going back 5 centuries. 300 years ago, humans were not peaceful. They were expansionist, aggressive. They conquered 40 systems in just 10 years. They were becoming exactly what we are now. What stopped them? Kira asked. Someone called the architects, Tarek said. There are only fragments, but the pattern is clear. The architects were an older species, more advanced. They encountered expanding humanity and gave them a choice. The same choice the humans just gave us. Exactly. Tarek pulled up more data. The humans chose violence, attacked the architects. The records are unclear what happened next, just that the human fleet was defeated, not destroyed, defeated. The architects could have ended humanity. Instead, they taught them. Taught them what? That real strength is knowing when not to use power, Tarek said. That civilization is measured not by what you can destroy, but by what you choose to protect. The architects showed humans a better way. Then they left. Humanity spent the next 300 years rebuilding themselves, becoming guardians instead of conquerors. Kira studied the timeline. 300 years of peace, of pretending to be weak, of watching the galaxy make the same mistakes humanity had made. Zerion Prime was not the first time they stopped an invasion, Tarek continued. I found references to 6 other incidents, species that attacked human settlements. All were defeated. All were shown mercy. All were given a choice to change. Some did, some did not. What happened to the ones who did not change? Tarek showed her a list of extinct civilizations, species that no longer existed, not because they were wiped out in war, just because they stopped appearing in galactic records, quietly gone. The humans do not talk about these, Tarek said. They do not brag, do not threaten. They just remove threats and move on, as if it is maintenance, necessary work, nothing personal. That chilled Kira more than threats would have, because it meant humanity saw the hegemony not as enemies, not as rivals, just as a problem to be solved, efficiently, completely. How much time do we have left? She asked. 16 hours. Find out everything you can about what happened to those extinct species. Admiral, some of this data is fragmentary. It could take days. You have 16 hours, Kira said. Use them well. The final transmission came with 3 hours remaining. Not from Ambassador Blackwell this time. From someone else. A man, early 60s, grey hair, sharp eyes that had seen more combat than anyone should survive. He wore a military uniform. Real military, not ceremonial. Admiral Wes, he said. I am Admiral Garrett Wolfe, commander of the Earth Defense Force, the people with the actual guns. Ambassador Blackwell speaks for our diplomats. I speak for our soldiers, and I want to make something very clear to you. His tone was not angry, not aggressive, just matter of fact, like explaining physics to a student. In 2 hours and 47 minutes, your 24-hour deadline expires. At that moment, one of 2 things will happen. Either your fleet turns around and goes home, and we never speak of this again, or your fleet approaches Earth and we end you. He let that sit for a moment. I want to be very specific about what end you means. Not defeat, not capture. End. Your 50 ships will cease to exist. Not as wreckage, not as debris. They will just stop being there. Your crews will be given 30 seconds to evacuate to escape pods. We will recover those pods and return your soldiers unharmed. Because we are not monsters. But the ships themselves will be erased from reality. Wolf pulled up a holographic display, showed ship designs, human warships. The technology visible in the schematics was beyond anything Kira had ever seen. We have 3,400 warships, Wolf continued. We have been building them for 300 years while everyone thought we were making cargo haulers. Every civilian ship in human space can convert to military configuration in 4 hours. Every station is a fortress. Every colony has weapons that make your reality bombs look like firecrackers. He zoomed in on one ship design. This is a Guardian-class battleship. It has shields that do not block attacks. They phase incoming fire into alternate dimensional space. Your weapons will hit nothing. Our weapons use gravitational manipulation. They do not damage hulls. They compress matter until ships collapse into singularities the size of marbles. No survivors, no wreckage, just gone. Another design appeared. This is a Sentinel-class missile platform. Each missile is self-replicating. Fire one, it becomes 10. Those 10 become 100. They learn from each miss, adapt to countermeasures. You cannot shoot them down because destroying one makes more. You cannot outrun them because they fold space. You can only die. Wolf showed more designs, each one more terrifying than the last. Weapons Kira had never imagined. Technology that bent physics. We have had 300 years to think about how to fight, Wolf said. 300 years to prepare for the day someone would not take our peace seriously. You are not the first to test us. You will not be the last. But you could be the first in a long time to make the smart choice. He leaned forward. Ambassador Blackwell lost her daughter to your attack. She is still willing to let you live. Do you understand how much discipline that takes? How much restraint? That woman could order me to glass Krexel Prime right now and I would do it. 14 billion of your people dead in 8 minutes. She has the authority. She has the justification. She has the weapons. And she is choosing mercy, Wolf continued. Not because she is weak, because she remembers what her species used to be. Conquerors, murderers, exactly like you. And she remembers how much it costs to change. She is offering you that same chance. He closed the displays, looked directly at Kira. You have 2 hours and 43 minutes. Spend them wisely. Because if I see your fleet come toward Earth, I will not hesitate. I will not negotiate. We will just remove you from existence and I will sleep fine afterward. Because protecting innocent people is what soldiers do. Real soldiers, not conquerors. Soldiers. The transmission ended, but Kira's screens did not return to normal. Instead, they showed something else, something new. Space above Krexel Prime tore open. A structure emerged, 30 kilometers long. Sleek, alien, terrifying. Admiral Tarek's voice burst over the comm. Unknown signature, massive energy readings. The display changed, showed the structure in detail, showed its purpose. Helios platform, star killer. Kira's blood turned to ice. This was not a weapon pointed at ships. This was a weapon pointed at their sun. A new message arrived. Ambassador Blackwell's face. Grief-worn but resolute. Admiral Vess, you now see what we built while pretending to be peaceful. Helios can trigger your star to go supernova. 14 billion of your people will have 8 minutes to make peace with their gods. She paused. Let it sink in. We have 6 more of these, positioned across the galaxy. 7 ways to end civilizations. And in 300 years, we have fired 0 of them. Blackwell leaned forward. That is the test, Admiral. Not building the weapons, having them and choosing not to use them. Real strength is knowing you could destroy everything and saying no. That is what the architects taught us. That is what separates guardians from tyrants. Her expression softened slightly. You have 2 hours and 40 minutes. Choose wisely. Choose for your people. Choose for your daughter's memory. Choose to be better than you were. The transmission ended. Kira stared at the display, at the weapon that could end her entire species, at the restraint that kept it dormant, at the mercy she did not deserve but was being offered anyway. 2 hours and 40 minutes to choose between pride and survival, between death and wisdom. She stood, walked to the viewport, looked out at her fleet. 50 ships, soldiers who trusted her, families waiting for them at home, lives in her hands. What would Sarah have wanted her to do? Her daughter who believed in peace, who thought different species could work together. Kira made her decision. She opened a fleet-wide channel. Every ship, every soldier, every commander. This is Admiral Vess, she said. Her voice was steady, clear. I have reviewed human military capabilities. I have studied 300 years of their history. I have seen what happens to species who attack them, and I have made a decision. She paused. Let them wait. We are going home. Silence. Then voices erupted. Questions, protests, confusion. This is not surrender, Kira said. This is survival. This is wisdom. The humans have given us a gift, a chance to walk away, to learn from this, to be better. I am taking that gift. She looked at the Helios platform on her screen, at the weapon that could end everything. Anyone who does not want to come with me can stay, can attack Earth alone, can find out what happens when you kick the wolf den. Silence. No one volunteered. I thought not, Kira said. We are going home. We are going to think very carefully about what we learned here, and we are going to decide what kind of empire we want to be. One that takes until someone stronger stops us, or one that learns before the lesson becomes fatal. She closed the channel, gave orders to navigation. The fleet began to turn. 50 warships rotating away from Earth, away from confrontation, away from extinction. Commander Tarek appeared beside her. That was the right choice, Admiral. I hope so, Kira said. Because if I am wrong, we will never know. We will just be gone. But deep down, she knew she was right. The humans had given them mercy, real mercy, the kind that came from strength, not weakness. And Kira Vess was done testing if that mercy had limits. The fleet jumped away, back to Krexel Prime, back to safety, back to a future that might actually exist. On Earth, Admiral Wolf watched the hegemony ships disappear from sensors. He allowed himself a small smile. They made the smart choice, he said to Ambassador Blackwell, who stood beside him in the command center. This time, Blackwell replied. Her voice was tired, grief still fresh. But there will be others, there always are. Then we will give them the same choice, Wolf said, until they all learn, or until we run out of mercy. We built weapons of genocide, Blackwell said quietly. 7 ways to end civilizations. And today, we used exactly 0 of them. That is what I will tell Reese when I visit her memorial. That her death did not become an excuse for more death. That we showed restraint even in grief. Wolf nodded. He understood. Revenge was easy. Mercy was hard. But mercy was what separated civilization from barbarism. They stood together in silence, watching Earth spin below, blue and green and beautiful, protected by guardians who remembered what monsters looked like, because they had been monsters once, and they never wanted to be monsters again. Above Krexel Prime, the Helios platform powered down, folded space, vanished back into whatever dimension it called home. 7 weapons of genocide, 0 fired in 300 years. That was the real message. That was the real power, not the ability to destroy, the wisdom to choose not to. 1 week after the hegemony retreat, a new message arrived at Krexel Prime. Not from Earth this time, from deep space, from the edges of known territory. A distress call, unknown aggressors, overwhelming force, civilians dying. The message was desperate, terrified, pleading for help. Kira received the message in her office. She stared at it for a long time. The hegemony had never answered distress calls before. They had been the ones creating them. Then she did something she never thought she would do. She forwarded it to Earth. 12 hours later, Ambassador Blackwell appeared on her screen. You could have ignored this, Blackwell said. It is not your territory, not your responsibility. No, Kira agreed. But it is yours, protecting the weak, stopping evil. That is what you do. That is what you have done for 300 years, while we were too busy conquering to notice. Blackwell nodded slowly. The Protectorate fleet is already en route. We will handle it. I know, Kira said, but I wanted to ask, could we help the hegemony fleet? Could we assist? Blackwell studied her, reading intention, measuring sincerity. Why? She asked. Why would the hegemony help protect strangers? Kira thought about Sarah, about Reese, about 40,000 dead because of arrogance, about mercy shown when revenge was justified. Because we want to learn, she said. We want to be better, and maybe the first step is protecting instead of taking. Blackwell was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, sad but genuine. Meet us at the coordinates, she said. Follow our lead. Do not engage until we tell you. And Admiral, thank you. Reese would have liked this. She believed people could change. I am glad to see she might have been right. The transmission ended. Kira turned to Tarek. Prepare a fleet. Volunteers only. Anyone who wants to try being a guardian instead of a conqueror. How many ships? As many as volunteer. Tarek nodded and left. 2 hours later, he returned. 23 ships volunteered Admiral, including General Crow's. Crow, Kira was surprised. He said, and I quote, I have been a bastard for 60 years. Maybe it is time to try something else. Kira laughed. Actually laughed. First time in months. Then let us go be guardians, she said. And find out if wolves can learn new tricks. The fleet jumped toward the distress call. Toward unknown danger, toward a future that might be better than the past. The distress call had come from a mining colony on the edge of charted space, 3,000 civilians, families, workers extracting rare minerals from a dead moon orbiting a gas giant. Now they were dying. The aggressors called themselves the Swarm. They had appeared 6 months ago. 3 civilizations had already fallen silent. When scouts finally arrived, they found nothing. No survivors, no bodies. Just empty worlds stripped of resources. The swarm moved like locusts, consumed everything, left nothing. The Protectorate fleet arrived first. 200 human ships dropping out of jump space in perfect formation. Admiral Garrett Wolfe's flagship, the Vigilant, took point position. Colony status, Wolfe ordered. Shields holding, his tactical officer reported. But they will not last long. The swarm has 600 ships. Biological weapons, ships that grow, that adapt. Wolfe studied the tactical display. The swarm ships were organic. Living vessels that pulsed and writhed in space. No symmetry, no obvious weak points. Just endless hunger made manifest. How long until the colony falls? 4 hours, maybe less. Then we have 4 hours to end this. Wolfe opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships battle formation Prometheus. We draw them away from the colony. Make them chase us. The human fleet began to move. Not toward the swarm. Away from them. Pulling back. Appearing to retreat. The swarm took the bait. 600 organic ships surged forward, hungry, aggressive, mindless, exactly as planned. Then 23 more ships appeared, hegemony vessels, older technology, slower shields, but crewed by soldiers who had chosen to be there, who had volunteered to protect strangers. Admiral Kira Vess's flagship, the Relentless, took position beside the Vigilant. Admiral Wolfe, Kira said over the communication channel, the hegemony fleet reporting for duty. Where do you need us? Wolfe allowed himself a small smile. Welcome to the Guardians, Admiral Vess. Stay behind our shield screens. We will handle the heavy lifting. You watch and learn. Next time you can take point. Understood. And Admiral, thank you for letting us try. Everyone deserves a chance to be better, Wolfe replied. Now let us show these things what Guardians do. The battle began. The swarm crashed into the human defensive line like a wave against a cliff. 600 biological ships, all teeth and hunger and rage. They met shields that did not break. Guardian-class battleships absorbed the swarm's weapons. Biological acids, kinetic spines, energy pulses that should have melted hulls. All of it vanished into dimensional phases. Attacks hitting nothing. Then the humans returned fire. Gravitational beams lanced out. Focused gravity wells that compressed matter. Swarm ships folded inward, crushed into spaces smaller than atoms, disappearing with barely a flash. Sentinel missiles deployed. 1 became 10. 10 became 100. Each missile learning, adapting. The swarm tried to shoot them down. Destroying one missile created three more. In minutes, the space around the swarm fleet was filled with thousands of self-replicating weapons, all converging, all learning, all hungry in their own mechanical way. Kira watched from the relentless, her tactical officers providing commentary, her commanders standing in awed silence. Their casualty rate is zero, Commander Tarek reported. The swarm has damaged 53 ships, all crews evacuated safely. The ships themselves are still functioning. How? General Crow demanded. How are they so good? 300 years of preparation, Tarek said. 300 years of training every citizen to be a soldier, of building ships in secret. They are not improvising. They are executing a plan they have rehearsed for centuries. On screen, a human ship took heavy fire. Its shields flickered, failed. The hull breached, but before the swarm could capitalize, three other human ships appeared, literally appeared, folding space. They erected a shield bubble around the damaged vessel, evacuated the crew. Then, all four ships jumped away. They do not abandon anyone, Kira said quietly. Even in the middle of battle, they protect their wounded. Memories of hegemony tactics flooded back, leaving damaged ships behind, sacrificing the weak to save the strong. Everything she had been taught was necessary for victory. The humans were rewriting those rules, proving them wrong. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the swarm had been reduced to debris. 600 ships, all gone. The mining colony's shields still held. Civilian casualties, 0. Human losses, 7 ships damaged. All crews safe, all ships recoverable. Hegemony losses, 0. They had not fired a shot, just watched and learned. After the battle, the fleets regrouped at the mining colony. Engineers began repairs. Medical teams checked for injuries. Kira received an invitation to meet with Admiral Wolf and Ambassador Blackwell on the Vigilant. She took Commander Tarek and General Crow with her. The shuttle ride was quiet. All three hegemony officers processing what they had seen, rewriting their understanding of warfare, of power, of strength. The Vigilance hangar bay was massive. Ships were being repaired by automated systems and human crews working in perfect coordination. The efficiency was stunning. Ambassador Blackwell met them at the airlock. She looked tired, the grief of losing her daughter still visible in her eyes. But she smiled, warm and genuine. "Welcome aboard," she said. "Thank you for coming, and thank you for volunteering to help. It means more than you know." They followed her through corridors that felt more like a city than a ship. Crew quarters, gardens, schools, families living aboard a warship, children playing in common areas. "You have families on military ships?" Crow asked, unable to hide his surprise. "We are all military," Blackwell replied, "but we are people first. Families serve together when possible. It reminds us what we are protecting, why we fight." They reached a conference room, windows showing the gas giant and its rescued moon. Inside, Admiral Wolf waited, along with others, human officers, representatives from the mining colony, and something else, 3 swarm entities, captured, contained in energy fields. Still alive. Kira stopped, hand moving toward her sidearm. "They are secure," Wolf said. "We captured them to study, to understand, to see if communication is possible." "Communication," Crow said. "They are monsters. They are hungry," a human scientist said. She was young, maybe 30. She stood near the containment fields, studying readouts. "We have been analyzing their biology. They are not evil. They are starving. Their home region of space is dying. They are refugees who do not know how to ask for help." The scientist touched a control. One of the swarm entities moved, pulsed, patterns of bioluminescence rippling across its surface. "We think they are trying to communicate," the scientist continued. "Watch." The patterns repeated, different sequences, variations, like someone trying different languages. "They know we are here," the scientist said. "They know we are intelligent, and they are trying to tell us something." Ambassador Blackwell stepped forward. "We are attempting to establish communication, to understand their needs. If they are refugees, then we should help them, not exterminate them." "They killed 3 civilizations," Kira said. "They did. Blackwell agreed. And that cannot be undone. But exterminating them in return does not bring those civilizations back. It just adds more death. We would rather find another way. She looked at the swarm entities. If we can teach them to ask for help instead of taking by force, then maybe we save future civilizations. Maybe we turn enemies into allies. Kira stared at the contained creatures, at the humans trying to communicate with beings that had destroyed entire worlds, at people choosing understanding over vengeance. How? She asked. How do you do this? How do you show mercy to things that deserve none? Blackwell turned to her, sadness in her eyes, but also strength. Because someone showed us mercy once, she said, when we deserved none. They sat in the conference room, humans and hegemony, former enemies, potential allies, sharing a meal, talking, learning. Ambassador Blackwell told them about the architects, about humanity's dark age 300 years ago, when humans were young and angry and convinced that strength meant conquest. Would have took 40 systems in 10 years, she said. We were efficient, ruthless, proud of our expansion. Then we met the architects, an ancient species, millions of years old. Technology so advanced it seemed like magic. She paused. Remembering history she had only read about, but history that defined her entire civilization. The architects gave us a choice, the same choice we gave you, Admiral Wes. Stop or be stopped, we chose violence. Thought we could win through aggression. What happened? Tarek asked. They defeated us in 4 hours, Blackwell said. 10,000 human ships, gone, not destroyed, disabled. Every weapon system shut down. Not one human casualty, not one death, just complete and total defeat. She smiled, sad but fond. Then the architects sent a message. They said you have been given a gift today, the gift of survival, of a second chance. Use this gift well. Become better than you are. Protect instead of conquer. Build instead of take. Be the guardians the galaxy needs, not the monsters it fears. And then Kira asked. They left, Blackwell said. Jumped away into deep space. We never saw them again. Never got to say thank you. Never got to show them what we became. She looked out the window at the stars. We spent 300 years trying to be worthy of that gift, trying to honor their mercy by showing it to others. Every time someone attacks us, we remember being on the other side, and we try to give them what the architects gave us, a chance. Admiral Wolf leaned forward. We built 7 sun-killer weapons, Helios platforms, each one capable of destroying a star. We built them to prove we could, to ensure no one would ever threaten us again. And in 300 years, we have fired exactly 0 of them. He let that settle. That is the test, he continued. Not building the weapons. Anyone can build weapons. The test is having them and choosing not to use them. That is what the architects taught us. That is what separates guardians from tyrants. Kira felt something shift inside her. A weight she had carried for 25 years, since Sarah died, since she decided the universe owed her. I have been a tyrant, she said quietly, for decades. I told myself it was necessary, that the strong survive and the weak perish, that mercy was weakness. She looked at Blackwell, at this woman who had lost her daughter and still chose peace. But you are stronger than I ever was, Kira continued. Not because of your weapons, not because of your technology, because you could have destroyed us, could have avenged your daughter, and you did not. You gave us a choice. That is a strength I do not understand, but want to learn. Blackwell reached across the table, took Kira's hand. Then learn, join us. The Protectorate can always use more guardians, more people who remember what monsters look like, because they were monsters and chose to change. Why do you trust us? Crow asked. We could turn on you. Wolf smiled. General, you have seen our technology. You know we are centuries ahead of you. So yes, you could try to attack us again. He leaned back, confident, certain. And we would stop you, again. But we would rather you become allies, partners, Friends, because the galaxy is a big place, and there are a lot of monsters, and we could use help stopping them. The conversation continued long into the night. At one point, Kira found herself alone with Blackwell on the observation deck. The gas giant had dominated the view. "I am sorry," Kira said. "About your daughter, about Reese. She did not deserve to die because of our arrogance." Blackwell was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was thick with barely controlled emotion. "No, she did not. Reese was good, kind. She wanted to teach children about stars. And she died because someone thought testing us was more important than 40,000 lives." She wiped her eyes. "I could hate you. All of you. Could spend the rest of my life wanting revenge. But Reese would not want that. She believed people could change. And I have to believe she was right. Have to believe her death meant something." "It did," Kira said. "It taught me that mercy is not weakness. That real strength is restraint. Your daughter's death changed me. Changed the hegemony. I wish it had not cost her life. But I will honor it by trying to be better." Blackwell nodded, tears falling freely now, but also smiling. "Thank you. That means more than you know." They stood together in silence. Two mothers who had lost daughters. Two warriors learning to be guardians. Two people finding understanding across the gulf of tragedy. The Protectorate fleet and the hegemony volunteers stayed at the mining colony for 2 weeks. Engineers fortified the defenses. Diplomatic teams established protocols. During that time, the human scientists made a breakthrough with the swarm entities. Communication was established, rudimentary, basic, but real. The swarm were refugees. Their home region had been consumed by a stellar event. They fled, desperate, starving. They attacked not from malice, but from need, from not knowing how to ask for help. The humans offered an alternative: resources, guidance, help finding a new home in uninhabited regions, a chance to survive without destroying others. The swarm accepted. It was not peace, not yet. Too much damage had been done, but it was a start, a first step towards something better. Kira watched the negotiations with wonder. The humans did not demand surrender, did not exact revenge. They offered help, built bridges, turned enemies into refugees in need. "This is what Guardians do," Admiral Wolf told her. "We stop threats, but we also heal them when possible, turn them into allies, build a galaxy where everyone has a chance to be better." "What if they cannot change?" Kira asked. "What if some species are just evil?" Wolf's expression hardened. "Then we remove them completely. We have done it 6 times in 300 years. Species that refuse to change." That chose destruction over cooperation. We gave them every chance. When they refused, we ended them. Quickly, cleanly. Just removal of a threat that would not stop. He looked at her. "But we always try first. Always offer the choice. Because we remember. Remember being the ones who needed that chance." 1 month after the battle, Kira returned to Krexel Prime. The Hegemony Empire was in chaos. News of their retreat from Earth had spread. Some called it surrender, weakness. Others called it wisdom. The empire split, factions forming, arguments raging. Some commanders wanted to attack the humans again. Most wanted to survive. Kira called a council. Every commander, every governor, every leader of the 47 conquered systems. The room was packed. Angry voices, scared voices, confused voices. She stood at the head of the table where she had once planned the conquest of Earth. "I have called you here," Kira began, "to tell you about the future. The real future, not the one we have been building. The one we need to build." She activated the holographic display, showed footage of the battle with the swarm, showed human technology, showed Guardian-class battleships and Sentinel-class missiles. "This is what we almost fought," she said. "The humans have weapons that make ours look like children's toys. Technology centuries beyond ours, and they have been sitting on it for 300 years while we thought we were strong." Murmurs, shock, denial. But that is not the important part, Kira continued. The important part is this. She showed the negotiations with the swarm, showed humans offering help to beings that had destroyed 3 civilizations. They could have destroyed us, Kira said. Could have ended the hegemony empire in hours. Could have turned Krexel Prime into a second sun with a weapon they have had for 2 centuries. Instead, they gave us a choice, gave us mercy, gave us a chance to be better. She paused. Let it sink in. I have spent 25 years being a tyrant. 25 years taking from others, building an empire on fear. I was wrong about everything, and I am done being wrong. She looked around the room, met every eye. The hegemony empire as we know it ends today, she declared. We will free every conquered system, release every slave, return every stolen resource. We will dismantle the machine of conquest we built, and we will begin building something else, something better. What? Someone shouted. A protectorate, Kira said. A defense force, guardians. We will ask the 47 systems we conquered if they want our protection, our help, our service, not as conquerors, as guardians, as people who remember what monsters look like, because we were monsters and we are choosing to change. The room erupted. Arguments, accusations. Some commanders stood and left. Others stayed, uncertain, scared, but willing to try. General Crow stood and spoke. I am 62 years old. I have spent 40 years being a tyrant, a monster, and I am tired. If the humans can change, maybe we can too. I volunteer to be a guardian. Other voices joined, slowly at first, then more. Commanders volunteering, offering to try, to learn, to be better. Not everyone. Some left and never returned. Some tried to rebel, but most stayed, most chose change, because they had seen the alternative. 10 years passed. The transformation was slow, painful. The hegemony empire fractured. Some systems claimed independence. Others joined the protectorate. Others formed their own alliances. But the killing stopped. The conquest ended. The slaves were freed. Kira spent those years traveling, visiting the systems the hegemony had conquered, apologizing, making amends, offering service. Some rejected her, refused to forgive. She accepted that. Some wounds did not heal. Others listened, gave her a chance, let her prove that change was real. She worked with the protectorate force, learning from Admiral Wolf and Ambassador Blackwell, training hegemony soldiers to be guardians instead of conquerors. It was hard. Everything she believed had to be unlearned. Some days she wanted to quit. But memories of Sarah kept her going. And Reese, and 40,000 dead, and mercy shown when revenge was justified. 10 years after the failed attack on Earth, a memorial was unveiled at New Harvest Station, rebuilt, thriving, a symbol of survival. The monument was simple, a wall of names, 40,000 civilians, including Commander Reese Blackwell, all remembered, all honored. The inscription read, "They died so the galaxy could remember evil exists. Guardians must watch." Kira stood beside Ambassador Blackwell at the dedication ceremony. Both women, older now, Blackwell 68, Kira 62, both carrying the weight of loss, both choosing to turn that weight into purpose. "Our daughters never met," Blackwell said quietly. "But I think they would have been friends." Sarah and Reese both believed in something better. "They were right," Kira said. "We proved them right by choosing to change." Blackwell nodded. "Someone has to remember what wolves look like, has to know the scent, the sound, the danger." "Because we were wolves," Kira finished. "We know, we remember. That is what makes us good guardians." The ceremony continued. Speeches, remembrances, tears and hope mixed together. Representatives from dozens of species attended, including former hegemony systems, including former enemies, all choosing to remember, to honor, to commit to being better. After the ceremony, Kira received a message, a distress call. A colony is on the frontier, under attack by raiders. She smiled. Not a kind smile, the kind of smile that wolves made when they found prey. Looks like we have work, she told Commander Tarek. He was 55 now, still cautious, still analytical, but no longer afraid. The Protectorate fleet is 3 days away, he said. Or we could handle it ourselves, Kira said. Show them what Hegemony Guardians can do. She opened a fleet-wide channel. The Hegemony Protectorate force had grown to 80 ships, all volunteers, all former conquerors learning to be guardians. This is Admiral Vess, she said. We have a distress call. Civilians in danger. Pirates attacking. Who wants to go remind some predators that there are bigger predators out there? Every ship responded, ready, willing, eager to protect instead of take. Then, let us go be guardians, Kira ordered. The fleet jumped toward danger, toward service, toward a purpose that finally made sense. On the bridge of the relentless, Kira looked at a photo she kept on her command station. Sarah at age 20, smiling, bright-eyed, believing in a better universe. I am a guardian now, sweetheart, Kira whispered. Like you always wanted me to be. I protect instead of conquer. And I remember what monsters look like, because I was one. That is my strength now. The fleet arrived at the colony. The pirates were numerous, well-armed, aggressive. They never stood a chance. The Hegemony Guardians fought with precision, learned from humans. With restraint, learned from mercy. With purpose, learned from loss. They disabled the pirate ships, evacuated their crews, destroyed the vessels. No casualties, no unnecessary death, just removal of a threat. Then they would help repair the colony, stayed to ensure safety, left only when new defenses were in place. This was the pattern now. This was the mission. This was what Guardians did. And the galaxy was learning. Slowly, but learning. That evil existed. That monsters were real. But that Guardians stood watch. 25 years after the failed attack on Earth, Admiral Kira Vess stood on the bridge of the Relentless one final time. She was 77 years old. Her body was failing. The doctors had given her months, maybe weeks. She refused to stop. Guardians do not retire, she said. We serve until we cannot. A new distress call arrived. A colony under attack. Raiders. The same pattern. Always another call. Always someone in need. Admiral, Commander Tarek said gently. He was 60 now. Her oldest friend. You do not have to go. The fleet can handle this. No, Kira said. One more time. One more mission. One more chance to be what Sarah believed I could be. The fleet jumped. Toward the distress call. Toward danger. The battle was fierce. The raiders were more organized than expected. Better armed. They fought hard, but the Guardians fought harder. In the final moments, as victory was certain, a raider ship fired one last desperate shot. A missile aimed at the colony itself, at the children huddled in shelters below. The Relentless moved, positioned itself between the missile and the colony. Kira's voice was calm as she gave the order. All hands brace for impact. Evacuate non-essential personnel. Admiral, we should jump away, Tarek urged. No, Kira said. We hold position. We are guardians. This is what we do. The missile struck. The Relentless shuddered. Hull breaches. Systems failing. But the colony was safe. The children were safe. Kira smiled. Blood on her lips, pain in her chest, but peace in her heart. Sarah, she whispered, I did it. I became what you believed I could be. She died with her hand on the photo of her daughter, surrounded by her crew, having given her life to protect innocence, a guardian to the very end. Admiral Kira Vess's funeral was attended by thousands, humans, former hegemony, dozens of species, all guardians, all choosing to honor the woman who had transformed from tyrant to protector. Ambassador Thorne Blackwell spoke at the service. She was 73, still wise, still carrying grief but also pride. Kira Vess was my enemy, Blackwell said. She represented everything I fought against. Then she became my friend, my ally, my sister in service because she chose to change. and proved that anyone can become a guardian if they make the choice, if they stand watch, if they remember what monsters look like and refuse to be one. The memorial stone was placed in the garden on earth next to Sarah and Reese. 3 names together. 3 lives that had meant something. The inscription was simple: Admiral Kira Vess, Guardian. She remembered what wolves look like because she was one. That made her the best shepherd. And across the galaxy, Guardians continued their watch. Humans, hegemony, swarm, dozens of species, all standing together, all protecting the innocent, all choosing mercy when possible, force when necessary, wisdom always. The galaxy was not perfect. Evil still existed, monsters still prowled, darkness still threatened, but guardians stood watch, and the innocent slept safely. Because some people remembered the cost of peace, the price of protection, the necessity of standing against the darkness. They remembered because they had been darkness once and chose light. That choice echoed through generations, defined civilizations, built a galaxy where cooperation was possible, where different species worked together, where the strong protected the weak. It was not easy, not perfect, but it was better, and that was enough. Because guardians stood watch, and they would always stand, always protect, always choose wisdom over destruction, mercy over vengeance, always. The galaxy continued spinning, life continued, hope persisted, because guardians remembered, and remembering they served. That was the legacy, the lesson, the truth carved into reality. Real strength was knowing you could destroy everything and choosing not to. That choice separated civilization from chaos, guardians from tyrants, light from darkness, and that choice would echo forever. Epilogue. In the archives of Sanctuary, 7 in a room that few ever entered, a recording played on repeat. The Battle of Zerion Prime, the moment humanity had shown the galaxy what they truly were. A new officer stood watching it, young, human, born after the architect's gift, after 300 years of peace, after the transformation of the hegemony. "Why do we keep watching this?" she asked the older officer beside her. The older officer was quiet for a moment, then smiled. "Because we must never forget what we were, never forget what we became, never forget that the choice between monster and guardian is made every day, in every moment." He touched a control. The recording showed Zerion Prime splitting open, a planet transformed into a weapon, a warning carved into reality. "We are not special," he continued. "We are not better than anyone else. We were monsters once. We chose to change. Anyone can make that choice. The hegemony proved that. Admiral Vess proved that." The recording showed the Helios platforms, 7 weapons of genocide, 0 fired in 300 years. "That is our real strength," the officer said. "Not the weapons, the choice, the wisdom, the restraint." The young officer nodded, beginning to understand. "So we watch," the older officer finished. "We remember. We stand ready. Because somewhere out there, another species is making the same mistakes we made, is choosing conquest over cooperation, is becoming monsters." He looked at her. "And when they do, we will give them what the architects gave us, what humanity gave the hegemony, what guardians give to everyone." "What is that?" she asked. "A chance," he said simply. "A choice, a gift they do not deserve but that we give anyway, because someone gave it to us once, and it changed everything." The recording ended. The room went dark, but the message remained. The choice remained. The hope remained. That anyone could change. That monsters could become guardians. That wisdom could triumph over destruction. That mercy could be stronger than vengeance. That was the real weapon. That was the real power. That was the legacy of the architects, of humanity, of Kira Vess, and it would echo forever.